I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we have a live caller, the infamous, the well-known G Money. I'm sure there's a few G Moneys out there in the world. He's been on my live stream over the last couple of years to throw a comment, give a take, and I highly respect his takes after a couple of years here. So it's going to be a real privilege to have him on. And if any of you out there are a fan of my channel or have done a live coaching before and you're interested in maybe joining the live stream and being interviewed and talking about some of your past breakups, your life, whatever, it's going to be long form. Today, unfortunately, I do have a call booked in about 45 minutes. So we're going to cut this live stream short, but we're going to do our best. And if it goes well, we'll have the fabulous G Money on again. So please let me know if you like this new format of a live caller. Like I said, most of them are past clients of mine, and we're just going to talk about breakups, but also, you know, a short interview segment of other things we get into. And this is really relevant to how some of my coaching sessions go. It's more of a long form conversation where we unpack things. And so obviously when someone comes on the live stream, they're not going to divulge the details and the goriness and the maybe embarrassing details of everything. Some will. But I think it's a nice taste to hear someone real on the other line that's not an actor or an expert or a fucking PhD times 10 giving us, you know, regurgitated facts that we've heard 1,000 times. It's one of those things now. This is going to be a really good... what's up, Sabina? Sabina, let me know if you want to come on at some point. This is going to be really nice because we're just talking to people from around the world that have had breakups before and get a little taste of their life. Why do we always need to interview superstars and people that have been interviewed 1,000 times that have generic answers? Guess that's a little rant from me. If you like the way this live stream's going and you're watching it not live, please put a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you like it. If you don't like it, just turn it off. And if you have any suggestions for topics in the future, please let me know. So we got six on deck, 2 likes. I'm going to give Mr. G Money a call because time is limited. Usually I like to get a few more people on. But we got the fabulous Sabina in Austria. So let me give him a call right now.
Hey, Mac.
G Money, what's up? You're live, buddy.
What's up, brother?
I'm good. I'm well. It used to be James Caldwell, correct?
I go by many different names. Yeah, I try to keep it anonymous on the internet.
For sure. So you're in the States right now, and you have a martial arts background, correct?
Yeah, I did it as a kid growing up. I got my black belt when I was like 11, and then I quit for a long time. I quit for like 10 years, and then kind of got back into it in my early 20s because I needed direction and discipline, and it kind of filled that void for me big time.
I mean, this is an ignorant question, but is black belt mean karate, or is that a different...
So like the belt system goes between a lot of different martial arts, but I do Taekwondo, which is like kind of focused on like kicking and that kind of thing.
Right. It's different.
It's all pretty much the same.
It feels like me growing up in the 80s, everyone would just know any martial arts as karate because of, you know, the movie The Karate Kid with the swan move and shit. But but it seems like whenever you ask someone what they do now, it's jiu-jitsu is really popular, Taekwondo, and then like, this is kind of funny. Whenever I meet someone that's like an older guy that's into philosophy or something like that, they do Aikido, which is the one, which is the one where they're like, I was at this like Christmas party, and this guy that was this French guy that was just thought he was just a hot shot. He was like, I do Aikido, and I'm like, all right, you know what I mean? Like, and he's like, you want to try it with me? And I'm like, no, I don't. Why? And like, I think it was his girlfriend. She's like, go ahead, try it. He can do this, and he can. I'm like, no, I'm not going to be his test dummy at a party.
Make him look good. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, because he was older, right? And I was one of the younger people there, right? It shows you the age range. And like, he just wanted to show off, and I'm like, yeah, no, I know you're going to make some cool move. right? It's like that's the one where you literally don't use a lot of force, right? You kind of just touch someone. Is that some of those videos online? Do you think that's true, or do you think that's
Aikido is bull. Like everybody does jujitsu because of Joe Rogan, and I think that's real. But like Aikido, no, I think it's
you feel like it's a little bit stretched.
It's not effective.
Because here's the thing about stuff like that on YouTube, right? It can be an act, right? Like that's why it's questionable. Sure. It's like some of these, I don't know the channel, and I'm not trying to throw shade the guy's way, but I forgot what it was, but he would stage these where he would pick up girls like in LA or places like this, and they would be behind the camera. And the girl, like the silhouette of the girl would be hot, you know, she'd have an ass and whatever. And like he'd spend like 5 or 10 minutes with his lines, and then she'd be like, okay, I'll go with you. And I was like, there's no way that you could say this is 100% not staged. But there's people out there that'd be like, damn, he just picked her up, man. You know what I mean? It's like
if it's the internet, you assume it's fake, and let them prove you're wrong.
So, we talked briefly before G Money came on, and he hasn't been a past client of mine in the sense of we did a live session, but he comes on the live streams quite a bit and gives his take freely. So I've kind of gotten to know him that way. But I know that being 27 years old, you probably had a couple breakups, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure.
So, if you don't mind, what was your first one like?
First one was a doozy. So I started dating young, like younger than I should have. We got together. I was like 14. She was 15. And like usually when you're that age, it just, fizzles out, whatever. Like you have your first kiss, you fight, break up. We were together for like 3.5 years. So we broke up in like junior year of high school. And like looking back, it was just like I was not ready for a relationship. I was a kid playing a grown-up role, and like stuff was going on with my family that I just couldn't cope, and it was just doomed from the start. But it's like I learned a lot. And like I always say, the first cut's the deepest. So I was broken up for years. It took me a while to get out of that slump.
You said you 13 to probably 16, 17. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, about there.
Depending on where. So, dare I ask what happened?
So looking back, is insecurity. Like I just wasn't ready for that kind of like level of deep commitment. I'm like, we're gonna be each other's soulmate and be together forever at 15. Just insecurity, jealousy on my part, smoking weed and just being a teenager, not ready for an adult commitment.
Yeah, sure. When she was a good girlfriend, I take it, because you haven't said anything bad.
No, she was. She was great.
There was no, like, you're taking all the guilt on your shoulders. So I'm like, oh, this is one of those ones where you flash back and you're like, I didn't know how good I had it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like everything happens for a reason, but yeah, it's like, honestly, was not on her. It's like one of those where they break up with you and you're like, you know what, good for you. Good for you. You made the right call.
Yeah. Well, like I said, hindsight's always 20/20. It's always so easy to see, but I just thought, I've mentioned this on the live stream before recently too. It's like when you're in high school too, there's this, especially if you're like hip hop and things like that. It's like you don't want to be too nice to that girl. Like I said in a past live stream, the big one when I was in high school was you're a captain. When Master P came out, it's like you're like like your buddies are giving you shit, or you have that one buddy that's like, yeah, I saw her talking to the dude in the hall. To just throw salt into the relationship, and you're like, what? So high school is just a different ball game. I think that. Yeah. By the way, though, let's say what's interesting is if everything goes right in high school, and maybe you're not so insecure, and you guys end up together past high school, it's still almost inevitable as someone that's a young person that's just curious, right? If we use the word curious, and then you have, like I've said before, like
college.
Well, you have college, but you also just have the way information's presented to us now through the internet and stuff. It's like you're just bombarded with like, oh wow, I'd like a shot at that.
Yep. Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Or your friend's single and he looks like he's out. Like, there's so many variables in that, and so if you can look back on it, the good news is that it sounds like she was a good girlfriend, so you didn't have one of those things where like all women cheat or all women are horrible or they all do this. You more or less just chalked it up as timing. You know, you're young in your life, and it's interesting that you mentioned that because this can't be disregarded when you have family issues or I'd say work issues. A lot of times when I do a live session, I'll ask about those things, and sometimes people are like, I'll be like, "Do you like your job?" or some of the, and that's why I'm kind of branching out now with past clients to talk about other things. I never wanted the life coach title because there's so many, dude, you're awesome, life coaches out there that make me cringe. So I kind of was, but it's evolved to that place because, man, it's like, I think we can't evade the fact, I don't know if it's because of where Western culture is headed or not, that most of us need therapy. Whether the, you know, like to you and whatever your upbringing and life experience is, you might meet someone and they're like telling you about, you know, their dad that, you know, yelled at them when they were young and you could one up them. You know, you're like, wow, that's not shit. But it still hurt them, right? And and there's just this massive amount of people now that need to find someone to talk to because the attention spans of people are pretty bad these days.
Yeah, definitely. Well, people don't want to hear your problems. Like even your loved ones, people that love you to death. It's like people have a limit of how much, you know, of your negativity they can take. You know, you need to get it off your shoulders, but that doesn't mean they can take it all the time.
Right.
So yeah, having like a therapist or coach or whatever, it's good to have.
Or they might just not, like I tell a lot of people, I said, sometimes people just don't have a background in that. You know, like like you're going to be talking about something that you think that they'll care about, but if you're dealing with a, let's say, cheating boyfriend and they've never been in that situation before, then they might just tell you to stick it out, or, you know, they're just going to give you advice based on their own thing. So we titled this as a grab title, or I titled it. G Money wasn't a part of this, but why do women cheat as a question? What do you think, G Money?
Well, I think like I always think like Brad Pitt, like. Would a woman cheat on Brad Pitt? And you think like, well, probably not, right? Because like you think if they're with Brad Pitt, they're not going to think they can do anything better. So it's like if you're that woman's Brad Pitt version of, you know, then you're safe. But if you start slipping, if you start, you know, getting fat, slobby, and lazy, she doesn't see you as that kind of top tier guy she can get.
Yeah, that's that hypergamy, right? That would be line up with that you're the best she can do, or pretty damn close. But I would say that there is a chance if she is with Brad Pitt, but Brad Pitt's busy in Hollywood making movies and he's so famous that she might, you know, someone that's so famous and doesn't have time. That's where the dynamic gets interesting, woman or man, right? Is that the higher status an individual is, the more likely they're to not care as much, which means they do rule the relationship, but they also have a lot of temptation. And even if they don't take it all the time, it creates jealousy. So I think that it's interesting now because, like I said, the temptation's never been higher. So I think that people are going to have more propensity to do that. Plus, movies and music have basically made it glorified in some ways because it's shown a lot, right?
It's like they want the guy that's Brad Pitt, but also be, you know, emotionally vulnerable and be able to communicate with them emotionally. It's like, what?
Yeah.
The guy that's in the gym all day, like working on his business, working on his muscles, he's probably not the most like in tune with, you know, his emotions and the emotions of women, right? Like, I don't know. It's a tall order.
It is. It's interesting that you said that because I think overall, because of movies and music, everyone has an ideal person, or they're seeking more perfection, if that makes sense, in their partner, where I think that
they want to have all their boxes checked.
Yeah, I think that, you know, our grandma and grandpa just went, okay, we're just going to deal with it.
Good enough, right?
You're right. You leave the toilet seat up. Fuck. You know, like, you know, this guy farts every morning, but I'm going to stick it out with him. You know, it's like, I think that people were more apt to do that when and I'm not a religious person, but when religious values and just not having so much stimuli of outside good, you know, like, oh, I could do better, I could do this, because the dynamics change. So There's a lot of competition that's not live competition, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think people let good be the enemy of perfect, you know? It's like, yeah, they might not be perfect, you know, but they're good. They're good for you. Don't let 'em go.
Right. Well, that's what, when someone comes to me with a breakup and they're unpacking it with me, the first thing you got to assess was the relationship good? I know that sounds simplistic, but some people are blinded by, I don't want to be lonely, or the intimacy was just good, which I totally understand. Some people are just, women and men, by the way, the fact that they are just so attracted to the individual, they'll let go of the fact that they don't trust them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So those are things that are interesting that, and I think that, you know, depending on where you're at in your life, your values for what you seek out in a partner change. So that's the other part that happens quite a bit, that changes the whole dynamic. So what was, if I may ask, obviously you've had a relationship since you were 16. So what was the next one like?
So I kind of like sowed my wild oats for a little bit just to kind of get all that out of my system, kind of get my confidence back. And then my first relationship after that was a girl that's legitimately crazy. I stuck my D in crazy. We were only two. She's the girl, we were driving around and we drive by an apartment complex and she goes, "Oh, that's where my sugar daddy used to live."
Ah, I remember you said that on the live stream. So this is a girlfriend?
Yeah. We dated for like a month. We broke up. She broke up with me the day after I took her to meet my like family.